Once you do log in, you will see you should see the admin bar to the left on the white. It will be a white admin bar that appears, but you'll also say member for, and it'll say however long you've been a member for. That just indicates that you've logged in with that user. Okay. So moving forward here a bit. So like I was mentioning before, when you log in, you will notice that the site pretty much will look the same. There's going to be some differences, though. Obviously, the first thing we will notice is that there's going to be actually, let me switch over. I apologize. Let me switch screens here. So now that I'm logged into the site, obviously we have some differences that we see here. The main thing is going to be this admin bar that's over here to the left. Become pretty familiar with it. This is going to be kind of your go-to, obviously, to be able to manage content, add things, and so on and so forth. Now, a lot of users, you guys are used to maybe the content editor role. Right now, we're working with a little bit of an elevated permission just to kind of work through a few things here. But everything that we are doing today, you should be able to do on your website, even as a content editor. But if you have any issues, you can definitely reach out and we can fix that for you. To the left will be this admin bar, kind of going through, as you notice that when I hover over each of these icons, it will pop up what each of these icons for the admin menu are. So we have our tools are going to be at the top. This is where you're going to be able to go and flush all the cache. We have our content down here where you can be able to look at all the overview of all your content. You're able to add content there and also manage any kind of files or media there as well. Then we have structure. This is where you will usually see to be able to edit edit menus, and also to be able to create custom blocks, and then also be able to kind of change taxonomy that's used throughout the website. And we'll go over that later. And then lastly, as a content editor, you might notice the settings that will be down here in configuration. You will see all these buttons where you actually won't be able to actually click on anything. So, excuse me. You won't be able to actually click on anything because it's all for a higher admin. So it's just there, though, in case you do see it and you're not able to access it. That's kind of there. It's there by design, yet you're not able to access it. You need elevated privileges for that. So one thing I want you guys to take a note of when it comes to the admin bar itself is that sometimes you might forget exactly which each of these buttons are. Until you get used to it, I would definitely recommend that there's a little button here that's at the bottom. If you click on that expand menu, it expands out the admin bar. So now I can actually see what each of those icons are without me having to hover over it. So now I know where the content is, the structure, and we have appearance and extend and all these other things here as well. So, but that's just kind of a quick glance so you can take a look at it until you get used to what those icons represent. Then you can go ahead and close it, and then you're able to kind of get a little bit more screen real estate here. But does anybody have any questions when it comes to the admin menu? Okay. So the next thing I want to jump into when we're talking about admin menus and editing kind of content, one other thing that you will notice on pages is that you will notice this bar that goes across the top. This is the tab. So for each of these pages that we're going to be taking a look at, they're all going to be considered basic pages. And within those basic pages, you're able to manipulate and add content to it. So you'll notice that we are looking at a view. So this is what it looks like when it is published to the public. And then if we want to go in and edit certain things, we can either go to edit that page's content, or we want to go to layout, which is for the most part what you're going to be doing in order to edit content, because all the content usually on those basic pages for when you get your new site, or if you're creating a site, will usually be done through blocks of information. Now, to explain blocks are pieces of content that you can put around your site. Some of it is reusable and some of it is kind of a one-time use. And when I say one-time use, you create it and it's only going to be used for that page. Now, when you can use it multiple times, there's a method that you can go about creating the same exact content, but now it's available globally, so you can use it for multiple pages. So if you only change it one place, it will change for all those places that you have placed it. So blocks of information can be a banner, as we have here. They can be a slider that's here, or a slideshow. A block can also be considered these items here, which are considered accordions, or they could be regular text as well. So these blocks of information that you're able to kind of create, there's different types of those blocks of content that you can place and put throughout the site, and then you can organize it the way that you would like. So that kind of gets you familiar with the block system of how Drupal works. So as you can see here, if I wanted to add a new block of information, I would just be able to kind of click on this add block, and I can throw in just basic text in there, and it'll appear at the bottom of everything. And then once I'm good with that, I can always just rearrange things as well, a part of this block system. So in case you guys do get your site and you want to rearrange some things, usually you'll be able to go into the layout builder and move stuff around however you see fit. And then once you like that block of information there, then you can go ahead and just click Save Layout. Now, this is just kind of a high level, taking a look at our layout builder. But this is a good starting point for where you want to take a look at and start editing content if you're on a specific page. Does anybody have any questions when it comes to just kind of this overview of blocks and this layout builder? Okay. I'm going to discard my changes here. Okay, so now that we kind of get an idea of what those blocks are and the layouts and how to change certain things, one thing definitely that a lot of people will run across is that as they're looking at a page, they'll be like, okay, I'm logged into the website. I want to change text in a certain area, whether that is through this slider or through one of these accordion items. There's something in here that you want to change. So the first and foremost, there's two different ways of going about doing it. There's going to the layout page, which we were just at, or sometimes when you're outside of it, you're able to actually click onto these blocks of information. There'll be a little pencil icon that hovers over to the right-hand corner, the right top corner, and you can go ahead and click Edit. So that'll be one way to kind of quickly jump into that block of information and change that item up. Either you can add things to it, or you can change up the text that is already in there. So let's just say I wanted to change this heading to will item new, and then I'm just going to go ahead and go down there, click Save. Brings me back to the page I was just looking at, and as you see, it has updated for the site. So that could just be one quick way to kind of jump into a block of information and edit that content. Any questions regarding that at all? Okay. So moving forward here a little bit. So we've kind of gone over, obviously, taking a look at the different blocks of content that you can put into a page and kind of editing that specific block. So obviously, if you are in different parts of the website, you go into Contact Us or one of your other pages that you may have in your website, it's going to work very similarly, where you can go ahead and edit certain things, certain blocks of content as you guys are taking a look at everything. So again, if I wanted to change what this says, instead of saying contact us, and I wanted to say leave a message, again, I can go into how we did it just then, or I can go into the layout builder that's here. And I could just go to configure and change the title of this banner to just leave us a message. So editing content itself, there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to working with these blocks and working with the layout builder. But once you kind of get a good grasp of it, editing that content is pretty, it gets pretty easy to do. But that would be one way. If you guys got your new website, it's out of the box, so you guys have all the information, it's already in there configured for you. That's how you go in to kind of change existing things. Now, another way to kind of take a look at your website as a whole and all of the content that is involved is to, in the admin bar, to go to content and then go to content overview. Now, this can be your go-to place to edit any content that you find throughout your website. And we're not talking about just blocks of information. They could be basic pages. They can be meetings that you've created. They can be resources that were created. But this is where you want to go to be able to kind of find all that information. So taking a look here, this is the overview of all of the content that has been edited on the website. It just shows what was the most recently updated piece of content. You can obviously search for it through by the title. You can sift out all of the other content types and maybe let's focus on something specific. So if you want to take a look at just all of your meetings, you can select that content type and then filter it and then be able to see just your meetings. You can also just filter by published, unpublished. There's a language thing in here, but you guys can just ignore this. That's used for other reasons, but you can ignore that. And then, but you're able to kind of select what type of content are you searching for on your website. Any questions about this content overview page? Now, speaking of content, and something I want to go over, I may have jumped the gun a little bit talking about content types. So when you want to create new content for your website, if you go to the content section, you'll see this add content tab here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And this shows you all of the basic out of the box content types that we have here. So these are pieces of content that you can create that will go to the right places on the website. So if you guys have an events page, this is where you'll go to create that event. The same will go for your leadership page, or if you're promoting your staff or your board members, it's created with the leadership content type. Now each of these are different pieces of information that you can go in. You'll fill out a form that has things like what time of the event is, what's the name of the event, and the description of the event. You fill out that information, and when you post it and you publish it, it will go to the events page for you automatically, and you'll be able to kind of create that list of all the events you may have, leadership that you may be featuring, meetings that you have that are upcoming, and also any resources that you want to publish onto the website as well. So as you can see here, kind of going over the different content types, we have our basic page to begin with. That is just going to be, it could be just a simple static page of information that you want to publish onto your website. This is where you will go to kind of put that in there and put it into the main menu. This will also be the starting point if you want to create that landing page with different blocks of information. You always want to start with a basic page. Next, we have our events content type. And just like I mentioned before, those are maybe events that you're publishing that are promoting certain things that are upcoming for your agency that the public needs to know, or even for your employees. So those are different events that you can create. We have our leadership, which is the leadership profiles for any staff that you may be featuring, board members, so on and so forth. We have our meetings. So a lot of people that we work with are the boards and commissions, and they have their board meetings that they need to publish. This is if you are one of the agencies that have to publish their public meetings with their notices and also their agendas. Meetings is the content type that you want to use in order to kind of create that and publish it onto your website. After that, we have a news and press release. So this is just more so for if you are running some type of news page that you want to feature on your website, this is where you'll go to create that. Or if you want to just put out press releases that may have been featured that feature your agency, this is where you'll go to create that as well. Below that is going to be the resources. Now, resources we're going to go over a little bit more in depth, but for resources, that allows you to post up a document onto your website and puts it onto our master list of the resources that are found within our website. You would go in here to upload that file, or you could even use it as a link that links off to maybe important resources that could be an additional website, or it could even be a Google Doc that you may want people to have public access to at least view. And that's something that I know some agencies are going towards. Any policies and stuff that they have on there, they have them up as Google Docs. They will throw them onto their website just with the link, so then people can go and just view that Google Doc itself. And then lastly, the last two that we have here are a service. So this is something that we've been talking about with agencies a little bit, where we're going to want agencies to start identifying all those services that they provide, whether that is an online service or if it is an offline service, just things that they offer for not only Arizona citizens, but also for employees to take advantage of. Those are the things that we want our agencies to start creating a list of. One of the big problems that the governor office has had is having an up-to-date list of all those services that the state provides. Usually because a lot of the times there may be agencies that just don't report if they don't offer a service anymore, or if they offer a new service, it's not updated or communicated to the right people. And then so we never have a really good list of things. So what the governor's office is wanting is for people to start identifying those services on their sites, because eventually we will want to pull in all of those services across all of the websites and create kind of a master list of all of the services that are provided by the state. Now, if it's managed and maintained by the agencies, at least we know that if they unpublish a service, that it will also be unpublished on that website without any kind of reporting or anything that needs to happen. So at least it will be up to date. And then lastly, we have a web form. A web form and content type is it's going to be a simple, basic page, but allows you to select a web form to display onto that page itself. It's simple enough, but you won't actually be able to create the web form. That is a whole separate, class in and of itself, but a separate way of kind of creating those forms to collect information from. So I know I'm throwing a lot of information here, but does anybody have any questions on any of these content types? Yes, Laura.
Hi, I'm new to all of this, and I'm actually helping out Michelle. I'm going to be her backup. My question is on the resource. I seem to have trouble putting some links into documents. Do they have to be in the resource area before I can do that? Or can you just give me a little more details on that?
Yeah, and I'll go over the resources here in a bit. And we're going to go a little bit more in depth, but in case there's anything deeper we need to get into, I definitely will be one. Yeah, let's talk about it after we go over the resources.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But yeah. So, any other questions? Okay. So, now that you guys kind of get an overview of how to kind of what the different types of content that you can add and kind of editing content that already exists, again, I'm going to go to the homepage and I want to show you just something real quick. So, those pieces of information you're able to create, and it will go to where it needs to go to on the website. A lot of stuff is already set up here. So one thing I want to take a look at here is that let's take a look at the leadership page, right? So all of these individual people that are listed here were created for the content type of leadership. So if I were to create a new leadership content type, it would automatically go to this page. I don't have to put it here. and it will be organized the way that it's either set up by automatically, or there's manual sorts that you can set up for your website. And those type of things, if you do want to do that, you would reach out to us and we will kind of help out with that. But to kind of show you how this content management system works, in the sense of where you were to create that information, it will automatically, dynamically go to where it needs to go to on the website that is designated for it. So the same thing will go for meetings. Obviously, if I'm creating a meeting content type, it's going to appear onto this list of things. So we will jump into our first thing here, which is going to be the resources. But before I do, I just want to make sure, does anybody have any questions on anything? Okay. So to get into resources are going to be one of the more common things that you might be uploading onto your website. So if you are uploading a document, whether that is a policy, some kind of strategic plan, annual report, budget, where you would go about doing that is going to be the resources page. Now, some of you guys, for your websites, when they've delivered to you, you may have had just the resources page, or you might have sub pages under resources, such as here are all your annual reports. So if you were to click on the annual reports, it's essentially the same thing, but it's only displaying the annual reports for your website. And again, just like if I were to post up that resource, it will appear onto this resources page. And then if I were to tag it as an annual report, it will automatically go to that annual reports page that's under resources. So that's the way that it's kind of configured. This resources page was kind of built in a way of, it was kind of a master library of all the documents that you're posting onto your website. So kind of, if people are having trouble finding something, they can go ahead and search this master list of things. So it's like, well, I want to see what, I'm trying to find a policy. I'm not exactly sure what it would be called, but if they were to search all your policies that are on your site, it pulls up that policy, and then they can go ahead and be able to pull up that information. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a resource here. So I'm going to go to add content. I'm going to add a resource. So when you're creating content, like I was mentioning before, it's going to be this form that you're kind of just filling out the information that you need to. So as we go through here, each of these pieces of information that you fill out are called fields. So in case anybody ever mentions fields to you, this is what that piece of information is. So it's just certain things that you're filling out that will determine where your content goes, how it's displayed, and you'll fill out that information. So for this one in particular, I'm just going to call this new resource. And then let's say that this is going to be a policy that I want to share. And you could select for the document type. They could be considered different things. They can be a financial report. They could also be a quarterly report. So you're able to select as much as you need to categorize that document that you're uploading. Then you come down to the resource. Now, the resource itself can be two things. You can either upload it as a PDF document, or any kind of document that you will need to upload for the public, or you can use a link that goes to that resource itself. So if I was featuring some sort of, let's just say the agency platform training section, maybe the document is not the best thing, but I want to point to a web page that gives them all the up-to-date information that I know it's being maintained. So I will just point to that website that allows them to go ahead and find the resources that they may be looking for. But in this case, I'm just going to select a media that's already up here. So I'm going to select this strategic plan that's here. Just going to say, okay. So I've selected that. Or you could obviously just upload your own. I'm just using what was already in the library. And then you can add in a description here. So this is a test description. So the description for these documents or for these resources that you're uploading onto the website, this just allows to give a little bit more context to that site, or sorry, not to that resource that you are uploading. And I'll show you where it comes into play here. So Now that I filled out all of the information, all of the fields that are here, I'm going to go ahead and click save. So when I do that, it will pull up this kind of this page that's created. It kind of shows you everything that you filled out here. So if I go ahead and go back to resources under the breadcrumb here, I'll go to resources. It will take me back to that resources page. And then if I take a look here, new resource, here's what I just uploaded. So again, it goes directly to that page without me having to do anything. I have the new resource. I click on more info. It has that test description. Now, what that description is, to give a little bit more context to that document or to that link that you're sending off to people. If somebody was, maybe they know it's a policy, don't know they know what it kind of contains, but don't know what it would be named here on the website. If I were to go in here and just put test, for example, what it does is that search of the keyword will pull up information that's within that description. So I will be able to kind of better maybe find what I'm looking for. I'm sure if I looked in here, we see testing here as well. So it pulls up anything that has test, the word test, in the description for that resource. Any questions about this in particular? So now that we've had that resource and we were able to create it onto the website, now it's available for me to use in other places as well. So let's just say for the about section, for example, if I wanted to go in here and let's say I wanted to edit what is here on this particular page, I'm going to go into add something here. Let's just say for this page, I wanted to throw in that document that I just uploaded. You can go ahead and let's change this. I'm going to insert from media library, for example. So if I want to use it just multiple places, I can do that. I can use, obviously, for this one in particular, you can use images or you can use different documents. So the document that I was just uploaded was that strategic plan that's right here. So now that it's actually in the library, I can use it in other places on the site as well. So you can throw it into onto different pages or use it elsewhere as well. But I kind of want to show that now that it's uploaded and it's part of the resources library, you can also use it in different means as well. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. So I do want to go into our first task here. So I want everybody kind of play around. We're going to play around with the website. I want you to go in. We're going to create a resource. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to go to add content. You're going to create the resource. The title can be whatever it is that you want. Choose whatever document type that you would like. And then you can either add a PDF document or you can just add a URL to the website itself. Put it in description and then click save. So I'll give everybody about 5 minutes to do so. Let me know if there's any questions. Give everybody here about another minute. But is there any questions so far? All right. I'm going to jump back to the site here. So taking a look at the resources, I see that you guys have added in some resources here. As you can see here, once you've added it, it adds it onto the master list. It will add it onto other lists that you may have as well on your site. So again, you can, I see this one here, you can just label it as whatever it is, whether it's policy, compliance, other, you can tag them as such. Now, if you ever need to add on to that list, that's something that we could help out with. I think you should have the ability to do so as well. That's actually going to be under the taxonomy that you will find under the structure section. So if you go down to taxonomy, you'll see a documents list, and you're able to kind of add on to that if you need to add on to that list. If there's something, a category that you do post a lot of, you can put it on there as well. So as you can see here, obviously I could just filter out by these things. I want to just take a look at all the policies. I can go ahead and do that. As you're adding things, obviously the list is going to grow and make it easy for people to find that content itself. Now, any questions on these resources? Laura, was there anything that in particular that you were looking to get answered that maybe we didn't cover?
I guess it just kind of goes back to, and it's been a while, so I don't remember exactly, but I tried to put a link into, I think it was a Google Doc, and it wouldn't let me do it. I mean, I did it and I went back and it didn't like take. So I guess my question is, does it have to be in resources to use it?
If it's just a link and then you link it off to a Google Doc, no, it doesn't have to be in resources to use it. That link, obviously, you can link it anywhere in any body or any piece of text content that you would like. It's just mainly the documents. Once you put the document in there, whether the PDF, then you're able to kind of access it throughout the website and do stuff with it.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now that you kind of see how it kind of works as far as creating the new content, and it's going to be something like resources. Obviously, it goes to where it needs to go on the website. The same can be said for meetings. The same can be said for events. If you guys want to, you guys can create a meeting and then take a look at the meetings page and see that it has been placed there. But it's pretty much the same thing. You go in there, you're going to fill out the fields, make sure you get all the required fields, and then you go ahead and publish it, and then it'll go to where it needs to go to on the website itself. Now, the next thing we want to jump into here is actually going to be creating a basic page. Now, a basic page is what you're going to be starting with for two different things, whether that's going to be just static information that you want to post, or if it's going to be a landing page that you want to create with all of the different types of block and imagery. You want to start with the basic page. A basic page is what's used to actually structure out the main menu itself. Obviously, the main menu doesn't need to just be basic pages. You could have links that link off to other websites or whatever, or specific documents that some people do. But the basic page, for the most part, is where you're going to be able to kind of structure your site for how you want things to be in that main menu itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a basic page here. So I'm going to go in here, add content, and then go to basic page. I'm going to call this one cool page. And in the body, I'm going to throw in some lorem ipsum here. Lorem ipsum. In case you guys are looking for a good lorem ipsum, I would recommend the Cupcake ipsum. Grab some stuff here, throw it in here. And then when I fill out those pages, obviously you can see a basic page has only 2 fields for me to fill out. There's not much going on there. But what I want to do is I want to add it to my main menu. So something to take a look here to the right. You'll have these different options to post, to add on to your page itself. You'll see this in other content types, but you really want to pay attention to this the most probably with basic pages. The first and foremost is that I want to be able to add it to the main menu itself. So under the menu settings, I'm going to select provide a menu link. Then it provides what is that link title going to be? It just takes whatever the default is, what I titled it as. And then I could do the parent link. So if I wanted it as a top level navigation, so in that top bar that's on every single page for your website, I would just select main navigation. So I know that it's going to be a top level thing. However, if I wanted it to appear directly below something in that main menu, like the about section or under resources, you would just go ahead and select about as the parent link. So now my page will go under the about section. So, but for in this case, I just want to put it in as a top level navigation. So I'm going to keep it as main navigation here. I did skip over this, but something to take a note of with this revision log message at the top. If you do go in and you change something, maybe it's not your content and you just want somebody to know in case they want to take a look at the revision logs, you can just describe to them what you changed just so that they know. In case you guys are working with a bunch of different people and content's changing around. So it's good to kind of keep up in those log messages to kind of help communicate between you guys, everybody that's on your team. If you're the only person who's working on your website, you could just ignore that. Since you're the one, you know, who's making those changes on things. Lastly, you'll see things like the meta tags down here. You can go ahead and just ignore this stuff. It's for SEO purposes, but all the default is good. You guys are good there. The URL alias, these are automatically generated. I'd strongly recommend that you guys just keep them as the generate automatic URL aliases. However, if you want that URL to be something very specific, you can go ahead and change it here. So what the URL alias is that when you see a website and you have the domain, right? So let's just say google.com. That's the main domain for the website. But when you go to /something, that is part of the URL that you would change here. So if you wanted to have this one in particular, say test page, instead of the automatic, it would automatically go to cool page, but you wanted to specifically say something else, you would put test page in there, and that alias will be whatever comes after that domain. So for your website, if it was adoa.az.gov, it'd be /test page, which is where this piece of content would be displayed. So again, you can do that if you absolutely need to, but I would recommend just generating the automatic URL aliases. And then lastly, if you want to go down here, take a look and change the author of it, you can do that. And then you have your promoted. Promote to front page isn't really going to do anything. The sticky at the top of list will help feature certain content types like news articles. So if you have a news article that you're posting and you have a news block that's on your front page that shows featured news articles, usually what it is that if you select sticky at the top, it makes it a featured news article for that block. But for this case, and I'm just creating a basic page, even if I were to select both of these would do nothing for this particular page. But for certain content types, it does actually affect things, depending on how you want it displayed. Anybody have any questions as far as any of these sections that's off here to the right for your content? Okay. So I am going to go ahead and create this basic page. So now that I have this basic page and it's kind of just static information, this may be everything that you need it to do. Maybe you just wanted to post up a few paragraphs to explain something. You can even add into the body just, simple images. You don't want to get too fancy with it. This could be it. And that's all you have to do. Now you have a basic page of static information, and it's now in the main menu, as you can see here to the top. You can obviously rearrange these type of things by going into the menu itself, and just if you wanted that to be more prominent, you can do that. If you just click on edit menu here under that little pencil icon that appears for the main menu. So that's one way to kind of switch it up. Or if you ever need to change this, or I don't want this to be a main menu item or a top level, and I want it under contact us, you would just go into the edit of this page itself, and then you can go ahead and switch where that parent link is. And then now it will be under the contact us section if you wanted to. But it kind of shows you how you can kind of easily just change things around as you're messing around with those basic pages. Now, does anybody have any questions on this?
Vincent, this is Lynn. I have one quick question.
Yes.
There'll be times when I'll be building a page, but I don't want people to see it yet until I have it done.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed on the basic page editing, there was a publish button. Can I work on a page, not have anybody see it, and once I've got it where I want it, click that publish button? Or is there a way not to have the public see it until I want it?
Yes. So you can have it unpublished. So one thing I do want you to note, because this is a little bit, it does get confusing from a user standpoint. So say you have everything in there and it's in the main menu, and you click save, but it's not published right now. I unpublished it. So because it's unpublished, I'm the only one that's able to see it. However, if you take a look, it's still in the main menu. However, the thing with how Drupal 9 works is that if you are logged in and you have an unpublished page within the main menu, it will display that page just for you. This is not put out to the public because it's unpublished. So in case you see that and you get a little scared, you're like, oh, wait, I thought this is unpublished. Why is this still here? It's still there because it's just you are logged in as an admin and you're able to see unpublished pages. So that may be confusing there for a second. So if I were to go in, let's say, let me share my incognito page when we're going to be logged out. So when I am logged out of the website, though, it's not featured onto the main menu. So even if it was under contact us or whatever, that it is not there to the public itself. But if you are logged in, it will display it on that main menu. So just something to be aware of when you do that, in case you think it's still there.
Thank you.
Okay. But to answer your question, Lynn, yeah, you can have it be unpublished, and you can do everything that we're going to do here, and the public can't see it until you're ready to go live with them.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay. So and to we'll just continue to go with it while it's unpublished itself. So also you can note that to anybody who may work on your site with you, because anybody who's logged in will still see that cool page, even if it's unpublished or not published. So again, it's just for authenticated users. Now, to continue on, now that we kind of have this static page of information, again, this could be all you need and you're good to go. But for the most part, you might want to be able to add a little bit more to it, whether that's to add a banner that goes across the top, add some images or other things as well. We can do that here by going to the layout builder that's here at the top tab here. So for this one in particular, I like all the stuff that's there. I do want to add in just a banner that goes across the top here. Now, we talked a little bit about blocks at the beginning, kind of showing you that you can create blocks of information, whether that's banner, slideshow, or just regular text. I want to add a banner here. Now, by default, we have it so basic pages have a certain layout that's already kind of, it's following along. We have this section at the top that goes across the entire top. This is what's best utilized for banners or slideshows that you want to put on a page. Then we have our second section, which just contains the breadcrumb and the title of that page. The third section, you have the body of that page. And then to the right, so there's two columns, and to that right column is going to be the main navigation. So if I were to build things under cool page, all of those additional pages that are put into the main menu under cool page will appear in that in this right-hand column here. And of course, you can always move things around however you feel it's going to be fit for this particular page. Now, I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to create a banner that goes across the top here. So when I add in this block, when I say add block, this menu to the right will appear. This allows me to either create a block from scratch, which is only going to be a one-time use for this particular page, or if I have a library of information that I want to pull from, you can go down to custom and then pull out that banner you may have created already that's more of a global block. And that is something that we go over in more detail in our advanced training. So if you want to learn more about that, I would definitely suggest to go to our advanced training where we go more in depth into the layout builder itself. But for this time, for 90% of the time that you're going to be creating a block, it's usually only for that particular page and nowhere else. So having it be a one-time use thing only is what you're going to need. So you don't need to have it. So it's part of a global list of library that you're able to pull from. So I want to create a banner again. So I'm going to select banner. You have the different types of blocks that you can create here. So I'm going to select banner for this title. I'm going to call it full page. I'm not going to put anything in the description, but I do want to show you that there are things that you can choose to do or not do. So right now, all I'm going to do is that all I need is just the title of it. And I'm going to add in the media that goes along with it. So you can go in and upload your own image, or you can just select an image that's already a part of your library itself. Now, I'm going to select something here where I'm going to show you what it's going to look like if you were to upload your own image. And that's not just for banners. This is going to be for any image that you upload onto the site itself. So I'm going to grab something from my computer here. It's just a random stock image I have here. It's just saying, please wait. It's uploading the image. And then it brings you to this page here where you have to fill out some information about this image. You only have to do this once. And then so whenever you select this image again from your library on different parts of the website, you don't have to go through this again. It's already saved in this information. And of course, you can always come back in and edit this information later. So for this one in particular, first and foremost is that you want to make sure that you have an alternative text that's very descriptive. In case you guys aren't familiar with, alternative text actually allows for people who are using screen readers who are visually impaired will use a screen reader that will read back to them information that's on the website. So your text that's on the website, but also any description in the alternative text that you may put into an image. Obviously, somebody who is blind won't be able to see the image, but the screen reader will read it back to them, and want to make sure that if they're reading back what the image is, it makes sense. So if I were just to put in text image, or if I were just put an image as the alternative text, what will happen is that when that person goes and viewing your website through their mobile device that's reading back to them, the mobile device will just say image. And that gives them no context to what is actually the image itself. So for this one, I want to add a little bit of a description here where let's just say it's a teacher holding the letters A and B on a virtual classroom call. Something that at least describes what they're looking at here or what they would be looking at. So now that I have a good alternative text in there for this image, I now have these crops that are down here. Now these crops are used in different places throughout the website. Again, so if you were to create a slideshow, it has a slideshow crop and it can automatically be applied once you do. If you were to create a slideshow and just select this image, we only have to crop it here once. But if you're doing something like a card, we have a card crop. It's already cropped up for you. So you just go ahead and select it and it will crop it to where it needs to go on the page. So for this one, I want to make sure that I go through each of these crops and make sure that the image will look good no matter where it's displayed on the website. So for this one in particular, I'm doing the card crop. I'm going to go ahead and click on it and the cropping is applied. So just note that in case you try to upload an image and then try to just publish it and you don't know what is blocking it, it's usually because you haven't set the crops. Even if you take a look at something like the slideshow, you're like, okay, well, that was fine. I'm just going to leave it. You still have to click within the image itself, and it has to say crop and applied for it to know that it was actually applied for this image. So something to just keep note of. So we're going to go through each of these, just make sure it will look good depending on what we are selecting. And then do the last crop here. And then everything has been applied. You can leave the default of the name and these, the publish show media library. You don't have to worry about those. Just go ahead and click save. And then as you can see here, it has added that image now to my library of images that I could use. So now that's there, it's selected. I'm gonna go ahead and add it for my banner for this page here that I was creating. All right, so it has added the image. I'm gonna put an overlay on it. I do have some text that's displaying, and then I'm going to add this block. So now that I've added it, I have this banner now that is on my site. It looks good, kind of looks like where I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and click save for save layout. So yeah, that puts a banner onto my page. That's how you go about doing that, or there's slideshow option that you could do as well. And that's where you'll go ahead and create the slideshow for there to put up there. And now that I've kind of taken a look at it, there might be some things that I want to quickly do because I have cool page here in the banner. Maybe I don't want that title to be here as well. It could be redundant. So if I go to, maybe I just want to get rid of that second cool page, I can go ahead and do that as well. And I will remove this block here. So now that second cool page is gone. Click save layout. Now that title was just in the banner here, and it's removed here from the bottom. Anybody have any questions on this?
Then again, what's the difference between add section and add block?
Yes. So when you're in that layout builder, you will see the add block and obviously add section. So a section is a region you create onto the page that allows you to put in those blocks of information. So if I were to add in a section, let's just say below here, and in this section, I would maybe want 3 columns. So I could put 3 columns of blocks of information, whether that's text that are side by side with each other or images. I can go ahead, if I were to select Bootstrap 3 here, for example, and I'm going to take all of the defaults that are in here. Actually, I need to set these. So let's put 33, 33, and 100. I am breezing through this. This is more for the next training. We'll go more in detail for it, but just kind of show you real quick, just when I add a section, what happens there. So now it has added a region of information where I can actually put some more of those blocks in there. So now I can add in that block of information if it was just text here as well. So let's just say I'm throwing in some a basic block here. Or let's just say I put an image in here. I'm going to throw in an image real quick. Just grab it from our image library. Add the block. So as you can see, is now this section, I'm able to add in that image into one of the columns that I just created. So I can just move this around if I wanted this into the middle column or I wanted it to the right. You can easily kind of just mix and match things however you want, and then go ahead and click save. So that creates just that region. So in a section, it creates a region for you to put blocks in, and then you add block. The block is that piece of content or information for the site itself.
Excellent, thank you. And now I'm hungry, so.
Don't worry, I think I get people more hungry with our next task that we have here. So taking a look here. Well, not this task, maybe it's the next one after this. So taking a look here, what I want you guys to do is that I want you to go in and we're going to create a basic page. With that basic page, you're going to add a title. You could throw in some lorem ipsum in the body. And then under the menu settings, I want you to select the parent item to be cool page. So it was just that page I just created. And then go ahead and click save. And then you're going to go to layout and you're going to add a banner to that top region, kind of like how I just did. So I'll give everybody about 5 to 10 minutes to do that. Let me know if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Vincent, it's Lynn. I think I might have messed you up a little bit with not publishing it. I don't see cool page under the menu option.
Oh, yes. I probably forgot to do that. So let
Sorry
me,
about that. I threw you a
Yeah.
curveball. Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. I will publish it here. Save it. Okay. It is published now. I think you just need to refresh the page you're working on.
Vincent, this is Michelle.
Yes.
Is it in the advanced trainings, or the thing that I need help with is figuring out how you added cool page to that parent menu? I've been having trouble with that piece on my own website. Well, is that covered in the advanced trainings?
No, it's covered here. We can go over that. But yeah, let me know what exactly the issue is, and maybe I could show off here how to kind of change that.
Okay, what my problem is when I'm creating, say, subpages, nothing that needs to go on the main page, but a page like this that we created, I don't have options. I don't know how to add cool page like you just did to that pull down menu so that it shows up in my parent menu.
Yeah. So if everybody doesn't mind, I'm going to switch back to the site. So to make sure I'm also understanding this, Michelle, just let me know if I'm not hearing you correctly. So if you were to create a page, right, you wanted it to be under my cool page, or just create my cool page and be a main menu itself. So if I'm creating something, I'm going to call this test page here, for example. I'm going to leave the body blank. So in the right-hand column, you'll see the main menu. And if I provide a menu link, this allows me to add that link to the main navigation. Now, there's two ways to kind of go about it, where if I were to select the parent link to be main navigation, that means that it's going to be a top level menu item for the main menu. So I'll switch over to this page here. So if I'm selecting main menu, if I'm selecting main navigation in that page, that means that it will go and be one of these top level items that are here. Now, if I were to, let me switch back here. If I were to select, I want this to be under the about section. So let's just say I wanted the test page to be under about. I would select about to be the parent menu. So now when I go ahead and click save on this one,
What if I want it to go down even deeper? So I have, say, 100 pages on my site, and it's just one random page that's not, I don't want it on my main menu. I don't want it on about or in resources. I just want it to be, I want to link it to one of my other pages somewhere on the site. Is there a way to do that and make that page name? Like if you go to the test site, I created a page. I think mine says new basic page is the title. Say that was just a random page on my site that's not on any of my top navigation menus.
mm-hmm.
How do I add it there so it would be like, say, 5 levels down? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes. So obviously if you wanted to go down, so there's two different things here that we're talking about. I want to make sure that I cover both of them.
Okay.
So if I were to make, let's say this test page, right? Because now this is one level down and I put it just under the about section, it obviously is under the about. Now, obviously I could move this particular page and have it be under even services under the about section. And I would just go about doing it as I would with the main menu link here. Instead of the about as my parent item, I'm going to say services. So when I click save, that puts it a third level down, and then so on and so forth, right? So as you kind of build those things out. So under services is the test page itself. So if I go over about, it's not directly above below about. When I cover over service, there's my test page. So, and then you continue that however deep you want to get. So I don't recommend getting too deep with things. It is an option that you can do, but it does make it harder for people to find things. Now, that's one thing that I wanted to cover. The other thing is that if you didn't want it a part of your main menu at all, and you have this page that's sitting on your website, so let's just say I'm going to go back and I'm not going to provide a menu link. I don't want it on the main menu, but it exists on my website. Now, I want people to still get to it. How do I go about doing that? Now, there are different ways you can go about doing it, right? Wherever you can add in a link, you can feature this page in itself. So let's just say under the About section, I'm going to, I want to link to that test page. So for this one in particular, I'm going to go to Edit, and I want to just link to that page. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it. As long as you have that link, you'll be able to link to it. Now, for this one in particular, I'm just going to add in a link to it. With the links that you can add on to our website, whether that is adding a link through the WYSIWYG, adding a link to one of our many blocks of information when you're filling out the fields, if you type in the actual page name of this one, so this one's called test page, it will actually bring up that piece of content that I created. I'm going to select that. It'll automatically put whatever the path is for this one in particular. I'm going to click save. It adds it on here. This one in particular, I will just need to change out, like this is the test page. I'm just changing out the text that was in there.
Okay.
And then I click save. And obviously that links to that page in particular, and it's not in my main menu, but people can still access it if they go to this.
I think that helps, but and I can, do this offline if it's taking too much time. But I think what I'm wanting to do is add those menus on the right side page, but just be on random sub pages on my site. Like every unit in our section has their own pages. So I don't want it at high level, but I want those boxes on the right side, and I want to be able to link to a box just on a certain page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And we can talk about this on offline. If we want to schedule something, let's schedule something so I can kind of walk you through it and maybe just set up your site so it's easier for you to kind of add those things in there as well. So
okay, we can do that. Thank you.
Okay. So while we are so now that we've kind of gone over that, I know that I'm sure you guys are already done with creating your pages, your sub pages here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the cool page that I already created. As I can see here, I already see there's 3 pages that have appeared underneath it. So one thing, take a note here. So without me having to do anything, you guys created the pages. My main menu has been built out to the right side here. I kind of pointed it out when we were first looking at the layout builder, that it was sitting there. I could have got rid of it, but if I kept it kind of as the default, when I know that there's going to be pages that go below that, it builds out that menu as well. So now I'm in the cool page section, and I can go to these other ones here as well. So I'm just going to go to Yummy Foods here as an example. When I go to Yummy Foods, we have a banner that's here. We have our text of information, and their right-hand navigation has been built out as well. So that's just something that allows it to be dynamic. You can add in the information for static pages, and that will kind of get you to where you need to go with some pages that you may have to do for your site. Now, are there any questions on this in particular? Okay. So, let's see here. So now that you're kind of getting used to kind of creating those landing pages, and you'll be able to add blocks of information, we want to play around a little bit more with some of the other blocks of information that we have for the website. I am on the wrong tab here. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna go back to my cool page, and in here I'm gonna want to add in a card set. A card set is something that is useful for a lot of agencies. It kind of puts in those call to action buttons, pieces of information that you kind of display for the site or for a particular page. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go to layout, and I want to add in those card sets. So I'm going to add block information here. I am going to create a custom block here. Up in the top right-hand corner, big blue button. And then, like I was saying, you have the different pieces of information that are in here. Now, what I want to create is I want to create a card set. And and if you're not familiar with exactly what I'm talking about, you'll see once I'm done here. So I want to create 3 cards. So for the card type, I'm just going to select basic card. And I'll go back over this at the end that we can change this back up. And I want 3 columns. So that's going to put 3 cards side by side with each other that has just some information in here. So the first card I have here, I'm going to call it card 1. The image I'm going to use, I'm just going to select some random one here. I'm going to select one of these brownie ones. Selected. Now the URL, I'm going to search up one of the pages that you guys had already created. So I'm going to search up yummy foods. So that, again, kind of what I was mentioning before, you're adding a link to something. You want to link to a page that maybe is not necessarily in the main menu. You can still do that. I just search for yummy foods. It pulls it up here. And in this link text, this is going to be the text that's in the button. I'm going to just say learn more here. And then in the body, I'm going to throw in some lorem ipsum here. A little bit more simple, not a full paragraph, a couple sentences. So I got that. And then I'm going to add in 2 more cards. So that was just one that I've selected. I'm going to add in another one. So this is card 2. Added image. And by the way, so what I'm doing here is I'm adding multiple cards to this. I can add in as many as I'd like. This type of feature will be found on different types of different blocks that you can upload. Another good example of that will be the slideshow that you may have already on your site, or if you're creating a slideshow block, you can add in multiple slides of information. So when you add a slide, it will pull up all these new additional fields that you can put up there, and you have to fill out each one for a particular slide. So I'm going to just choose this one, for example. I'm gonna insert media. The URL, I think it was BOP was one of the other ones. So that pulls up that page, the link. Then we learn more. Body, just some lorem ipsum. And add in one more card here. So I'm going to select part 3. One more image. And I'm going to link this one to that test page I did. Text, learn more, and then body. So now I have 3 of my cards created. So I don't need to add an additional card. I'm just going to add that block of information. So I select add block. And it adds in these 3 cards here. So these are kind of call to action cards that you can do. You have a title. You have this small area for text. And then you have your learn more button. I'm just go ahead and just click save here real quick to save my progress. So as you can see here, this card set was a block of information that I could put in there. It kind of gives it a little bit of a visual appeal. This could be sub pages that are within my site. They could be directly with this particular section. They could be for other sections, however you see fit. So each of these buttons here, I put in learn more as that text button, but these will go off to the various pages that I have set them up with. So this one should go to the Yummy Foods page. Go back here. The other one will go, card 3 will go to that test page that I created. So this is that is the card set text, the card set block that you can create and kind of give it a little bit of visual appeal. It brings people's attention to it, and then they can go ahead and select maybe something that they're looking for. Now, I'm not limited to just having 3 cards here. If I wanted to do more cards, I can add in 3 more and they will go just directly right below it. So you can add in as many as you want, and depending on how many columns, whatever looks good for your site. So this one I have 3 columns. I'm going to add 3 cards. It makes sense. But it's just to kind of show you, let's say I wanted to go back and I want to change some stuff up here. There's some things that you can do, and this goes across with any of our blocks that we have. Some of them have alternative looks to them. Some of them will have different ways that you can configure it to make it look, to change it up a little bit. So for this one in particular, I'm going to go back. I'm going to configure what I just did. I'm going to change the view mode from 3 columns to 2 columns. And then when I go down and just click save, or I'm going to click update, sorry. When I update it, it changes the amount of columns that my cards take up. Before it was 3, now it's 2. I can always switch it back to 2, 3, or I can add in an additional card here to kind of fill it out, to kind of give it this this 4-card look, but just with 2 columns. There's so many different ways that you can configure it, just whatever you feel is going to be best visually appealing for your site. And then lastly, I'm going to go back in, and let's just say I want to change the look of it. So we have our card type. I'm going to go with image action card here. That's just a different look to those cards. I'm going to click update. And as you can see here, it gives it a whole new look and feel for that card. You can play around with it, take a look to see what looks best, what's more fits in with your site. You can definitely take a look at that. And those are something that we're going to continue to improve upon as we move forward, kind of adding new styles for people to kind of take advantage of. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to switch it back to 3 columns. But like I kind of mentioned before, there is a little bit of a learning curve that comes along with kind of playing around with this layout builder and creating content. But once you get a hang of it, you can see how quickly you can change things around and kind of make things look visually appealing for your pages themselves. Any questions on just the card set or what we're kind of going through here? Now, I do know we're coming up here on time. I'm willing to stick around here, but we do have one more task for everybody. If you guys have to drop off, that's okay. We are coming up on time. If you have any questions before you have to go, just let me know. But we do have our last task, which is going to be, we're going to create another basic page. I want the title to be your favorite restaurant. You don't need to add a body, so don't add a body. We're going to be adding content through the blocks. So when you create that basic page, under the menu settings, make sure that it is the parent item. It says the food here, but let's just put it under cool page. Next, you're going to click save. I want you to add a slideshow with 2 slides, add a card set, and then a basic block with the description of the restaurant below the card set. So this is going to take a little bit longer, but if you want to stick around, try it out, we can go ahead and do that. But in case you have to drop off, if you have any questions, let me know if you have any questions about anything. All right. I'll give you guys about 10 minutes. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And Michelle, afterwards, because it's just you guys, we can go over thanks, Laura. We can go over some stuff more in depth to kind of help you out with your site.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Michelle, you can keep working. I'm just going to end the recording here. For those of you who are watching, you guys are looking for the next training that we will be providing. It's going to be on August 24th, 2022. We're going to be doing a deeper dive, so kind of going in a little bit more in depth with some of the stuff that we were talking about today, especially the layout builder. So if you guys have any questions or wish to attend, you can contact myself or William Sizemore. So yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody there.